I'm D. McDaniel, and you're watching Western Bass TV.
I'm Ron Cervenka, and you're watching Western Bass TV.
For a treat, we have one of the best in the West here. Franco will be up on the big bass bin here, the Trout bass bin, and the Ames Marine booth. Show you guys how to catch Diamond Valley Reservoir trout. And you know what? I guarantee you when he's teaching you this, I'll tell you what, when he's going to show you, you will catch other species of fish with this technique, will you not? Bass will eat it, bluegill will eat it. Isn't that right, Mark?
Yes, oh yes, this jig.
So when he's going to teach you, he's going to teach you guys all about how to utilize these drugs. And what a lot of people are missing is, it's been always told that you should throw spinners, net spinners, roost bells, or whatever, the Berkeley spinners. But he's going to go and move it to another level. Hey, Mark?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. I got.
Start up a little bit and start talking to these people that they like to hear something.
Okay,
Without further ado, Mark Franco from DVL. You guys do a round of applause and you look great.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. As you know, my name is Mark Franco. I'm a licensed guide at Diamond Valley Lake, and I'm going to show you some techniques that I have used to get big fish at Diamond Valley Lake. But first, I'd like to thank everybody having a good time here at the Fred Hall so far. Good staying here. All right. We'd also like to thank Ames Marine booth here today. They're providing this freshwater tank and all us anglers out here for coming out and speaking to you and showing you our techniques. Ames Marine and G3 boats, guys, right over there in the corner. We got the Skeeter boats here, and we got the Triton boats. Come and check them out. They're quality boats. Okay, let's get started. Like I said, my name is Mark Franco, and I'm going to teach you guys how to use these tube jigs up and down California, from Big Bear to the Sierras. These are a lot of fun to use. As you can see here, I have a lot of different variations of colors, sizes, weights, lead heads, drop shots, power worms, Berkeley jig heads there. My favorite right here, these are Josh's jigs. These are my favorite. These work really fantastic. They have great colors, as you can see. Nice black and brown, nice green, nice yellow with a gray in it. All these are going to simulate some kind of nymph. If you're into the entomology, you know you have a lot of ants and nymphs and all kinds of creatures like that, grasshoppers and stuff like that. So, further ado, I'm going to step down because I can talk a lot better and show you a few more things better like that. So give me just a minute here.
So welcome.
Thank you. Hi, how are you? Okay, the first thing I want to explain to you guys is very important when you're using these tube jigs. These are very light, 1/32 ounce. After we get done here, you can take a look at all my tackle. You learn how to use these tube jigs, I guarantee you'll never take power bait, night crawlers, any of that stuff again. You'll be able to put on one of these little backpacks around your waist, one rod, one cup, and a handful of jigs, and just fire them around the lake. Just keep working the lake and make circles, and you can catch anything from crappie, bluegill, bass, trout. My personal best on a bass with this is 13 pounds 3 ounces on a tube jig. My personal best with a trout, 17¼ pounds. But the trick, I personally believe, is the equipment. You must match your equipment to the jig. Yeah, you can use some lower end stuff, $40, $50, $70 equipment, and it's going to work, but it's like taking a Volkswagen across country. Why? Why would you want to do that to yourself? Be uncomfortable, you'll have to work too hard, seems to be pulling over all the time to get gas. You don't need that. What you want is a nice stiff rod with a spongy tip. I highly recommend the G Loomis rod. It's a pricey little guy, but it's worth it. The sensitivity is unbelievable. This is one of my favorites right here. This is a 6'6", 2 to 6 pound line. My favorite reel is the Daiwa 700. It's about 8 years old, but they just haven't come out with anything better. 7 ounces on the reel. I like to use it. It's fun, it's light, you can cast all day with this rod because you're only talking about 15, 16 ounces in the whole thing here. Look how light that is. Can you see that? Just kind of see how light that is? Because you're walking around the lakes all day and you're throwing jigs, you're firing different colors, different stuff like that, and just multiple changes with your jigs. That's why you have variations of colors. As you can see, these are my favorite colors that I'm working right now. And the key is to keep switching, guys. When you're walking around your local lakes, your local parks, San Diego Lakes, Sierras, Big Bear, all through these little tiny parks, you want to keep switching colors. These trout are hungry. All they do is get it put in the lake so you guys can catch them. And if you use this proper stuff, you can have a lot of fun and you can catch and release all day long. Because these fish bite them right on the mouth and then they give you a heck of a fight. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple other little things that I like to do. Basically, that was just fly lining the mini jig, okay, right there. Then, my other favorite setup, I'm sure you're familiar with this, is a split shot, swivel, and basically I'm sure you used to use a night crawler with this. Not no more. They make these power worms now. They're right up here in the corner. You got a various of colors here, yellow, brown, pink, and orange. And that's all you need. You keep that little batch on you and you're going to have a great time. And I basically use a split shot with about a 2-foot leader, and I'll just work it slow. I'll just kind of just bump it along, bump it along, bump it along, and just watching your line. All of a sudden, phew, your line will just take off and scream. Boom, set that hook. Here again, 2-pound test, 7-foot rod, dial of 700. You've got to match your tackle to your line, guys. 2-pound test. I'll tell you what, if one of you guys can hold this real quick, maybe give it a wrap around your fingers. See how loose that drag is? Can everybody hear that? That's very important when you're using 2-pound tests in these big trout. Because these trout are running anywhere from 2 to 8 pounds at diamond, but if you go to your local parks like Corona, Santa River Lakes, you're going to see some monsters in there, 10, 12, 15, 20, 25 pounders. And you can do it with these rods. 2-pound tests can do it. You're just going to be on a battle with your little hands. So here you go. I'm just going to explain real quick when you're working that power worm, and you just kind of go. So hang on to it tight there. And all of a sudden your line takes off. When I see that hit, you see that? Did you hear that? That's what you're looking for, right there. All of a sudden you get a bite. Oh, that was a hard snap, huh? Let's see if we can do that again. Here you go. Hold that in right there. Yeah, and always double check your jag, guys. Always double check. It might have been a little tight there. So you're sitting there, you're working it, you get bit. Boom. You've got to set that hook. Don't be afraid. I see a lot of guys like this. They're jigging and they're working. They're all la 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 la. All of a sudden they get bit. It's too late. It's too late. You've got to lower your tip down. You want to stay tight line. I'll say boom. It's right there. Boom. That's all it is. I see guys way up here like this all the time jigging. La 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 la. You know, just doing that. That line has got about 5 feet of slack in it. By the time you got that hit and that fish has grabbed it and run, he's already spit it out. It's plastic. He can tell the difference. Just like you can when you get a little piece of thread in your mouth that you're constantly spitting out, and that's basically what the trout are doing. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, I'm going to show you another technique here that I like to use. It can be very effective. I'm sure you've been hearing about it. A lot of the bass guys are doing it, and it's a drop shot technique. Oh, you're familiar with that? Real popular right now with bass fishing. I'll tell you what, trout are going crazy for it too. Weight on the bottom, hook on top. And these are these new creatures that I like using. These are all nymphs from Berkeley, and they're right up here, various of colors, brown, green. Hey, all right. And then we're going to have some free stuff for everybody once we get done here, all Berkeley stuff. So there you go. You got your nymphs right there. And that's what I like to use. And basically what you're going to do is once that hits the water, it's going to sit in there. And what you want it to do is just kind of bounce it. Once it hits the water, you just kind of make it go like that. Let's see if I can get a good look here in the water. Okay, there we go. See, your weight's on the bottom, and we want to keep a tight line. And you just want to move that jig just like that. Everybody see that? Just kind of move it around, trying to get some eye contact and see if we can get this trout to go. There you go. We just want to jig it. We just want to bump it up and down, twitch it, twitch it, twitch it, twitch it. See the way my wrist is barely moving there. Can you see that, guys? I'm just barely twitching. I'm not overreaction. I'm not jumping up and down, trying to scare the fish. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I know they're holding in the general area, and I just kind of want to work it like that. Okay? Pretty simple there. But it's another arsenal in your package. I showed you the jig technique. I showed you the power worm technique. Here's another one, a third one. That's your drop shot technique. All right? Very interesting, lots of fun, another 1.5. Here's another one of my favorite things to do. Basically, this is a little stiffer rod. It's a 7-footer with a dial of 700. I can't get enough of these rods or reels. I just love them. They're perfect for trout. They got the ultimate in feel. And I love using 4-pound tests in this situation with a giant Castmaster. And the reason why I use this Castmaster is to cover a lot of ground. A lot of ground. I can cast this 50, 60, as far as 70 yards from the shoreline. 70 yards. And if you start spreading it out and kind of fan it, work one way, work, say, a 10 o'clock, work 11 o'clock, work 12 o'clock, work 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you're going to cover a lot of ground. And if you've got trout that are hungry and aggressive, they're going to chase this thing. They may not want to eat it, but they're going to chase it because it's flashing through the water, and it's something they have to go. They're curious. They have to look at it. So don't be afraid to use this, even for a chaser. Throw it out there and boom, bring it back in. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to do is I see a lot of men using these metal lures, Thomas Boyens, Castmasters, stuff like that. And if you're running a jig pole, one of my favorite things to do is when they cast it out and they're retrieving it and they're about 3/4 of the way in, I'll sit there right behind that jig and throw right behind that lure and move my jig super slow. It's a different presentation. That lure, these metal lures are usually working pretty good. Good half a mile an hour or so. And all of a sudden that jig comes along and just kind of makes it a little bit easier to reel. I've done it lots of times. I've pissed a lot of people off. I come right behind them. So if you ever see anybody on the shoreline throwing Castmasters or Super Dupers or any kind of rooster tails, go behind them with a jig. Time their cast. As they're coming in, throw back out. And you watch, you'll be amazed on how many trout you catch.
That one-piece rod?
Yes, I love one-piece rods. They more sensitivity, more tip. Basically, everything is bam, 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 bam with these fish. It's just a quick hit, boom, they grab it and let it go. They grab it and let it go. It's not like it's a power bait or a night crawler where they're going to swallow it and ingest it, and then you're going to hook them up pretty easy. Right here, you're testing your ability. It's called finesse fishing. And I'm telling you, once you learn it, you'll never do anything else again. All you got to do is wear a backpack, or myself, I like to bring my bucket. I'll walk around the lake, just like this, and everybody looks at me like I'm crazy. Man, what's this guy? He's like from the future, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching people. Okay, that guy's throwing Castmasters. All right, I'll grab my jig rod out and I'll get ready real quick, go home. I mean, I attack these trout like bass. I really do. I have multiple sets. This is just for me when I go out trout fishing. Right here, I got my saddle Castmaster ready to go. I got my drop shot if I need it. I got my jig pole. I got actually 3 jig poles if I wanted to. One of the funnest things to do is to use those jigs. So this is pretty much how I like to do it and keep it. Usually I like to use this in your smaller ponds, okay? But if you're in the Sierras, how many of you guys know the Sierras? Oh, isn't that great up there? That's just a little piece of heaven. What I like to use in the Sierras is just something like this. Keep it real simple, guys. Keep it real simple. Put everything in here. Here's my box of lures. Everything's there. If I want to keep a little bit of some metal lures or maybe some tinier jigs, I'm there. I'm set up. I'm ready to go. I got a water bottle. I got my jig pole, and I'm ready to go. It's all you need. Now I'm going to share another secret to you that has captured me big fish in the Sierras. You're in the water, you're not sure, you don't want to get in because you know it's cold, it's about 50 degrees. Put on those hip waders. That's why they sell them. It's one of the most effective ways to get right down the middle of the lake. You charge down the lake, and you're looking for these trout. You're being stealth because you got a lot of trees over, and they're hiding. They're hiding underneath trees because they know spiders and ants and nymphs, ladybugs, moths, flies are going to fall. So they're just sitting there waiting because all they do is eat. So you got to be stealth. You're watching some rocks and you're coming in, and all of a sudden, ooh, I see something there. That's pretty good. That looks good. So I'm going to go in there, and I can't cast because I got trees all over me. They're everywhere. So what I like to do is I like to keep my rod in a pointing position like this, stay low, and what I'll do is I'll turn my rod into a bow and arrow. I'll grab the jig with my left hand. I'll stay low. Right there, aim marine. Watch that. Boom. Just aim it where you want it. And this way you can stay low and stealthy with the fish. Aiming for the man with the wheelchair right there. It takes a little practice. That's one thing we don't do in fishing. We practice in baseball, we practice in football, we practice soccer, we practice all kinds of things. But what do we practice? We go down to our local tackle store and we buy some lures and we put them in the box and we, God, I hope this works Saturday. Basically what 99% of the fishermen are doing. I've been known as a freak in the industry. I mean, I dream about it, I talk about it, it's always on my mind. Prepare mentally up here. If I'm going Saturday, I'm ready Monday. You've got to be into it. You've got to get your box. You can look into it. Look in your tackle box. Make sure everything is ready. Be prepared. Be prepared with these trout. There's nothing more that you can have in your back pocket is being prepared. And as I talked about practice, head to the park. Boom. Start practicing your little pitch there. Don't be afraid to even get some nephews or some kids. Tell them to tie the line and act like a fish. Tell them to move left and right. Practice. It's all practice. Because this 2-pound test, and you hook a big fish and you're not ready for it, it's going to snap your line. Boom! And it's going to drive you nuts. I tell people all the time, you can call me and talk about it all day for $25 an hour. I mean, they just, Mark, they were so big. I know what you're saying now. And I say, wow, you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready with this. You're using the ultimate in light tackle. Light tackle. This is it. It doesn't get any lighter than this, guys. 2-pound test, 7-foot rod, dial of 700. Creme de la creme for trout fishing with tube jigs. You want to know how much it goes for? This is a $400 setup. $125 for the reel, and about $275 for the rod. Pretty expensive, but I tell you what, it's the only thing you need. It's the only thing you need, and a box full of little stuff right there. As you see, I got some bobbers right there. You take a look at those. Those bobbers have rattles in them. And the wind picks up, all of a sudden it's blowing 15, 20, 30 miles an hour. But the fish are right there, 20 feet, and you can't get that jig. And you say, oh, I got to put some lead on. I'm going to put some power bait. I can't reach them. No, don't have to do that. All you have to do is grab in your tackle box, get yourself a bobber with some rattles in that. You hear that? That just gave you some weight right there. That's about almost 1/8. That's really going to launch you. Now you can control your depth. 1 foot. These fish are right on top buoyant. I keep it about 1 foot, 2 foot. If you can't quite see them, I go maybe as much as 6 foot. Push the button, wrap it around the bottom, and there you go. Now you're going to reach these fish that are 25, 30 feet offshore where you couldn't reach them at one time when the wind was blowing. Okay? Real simple technique. You cast it out, you watch the bobber, you keep a tight line, and you just jig it across the water. You just make the bobber dance. I know you can't see it here in the water, but you basically want to make that bobber just go dum 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 dum. Because what it is, if this is moving, the jig's moving down there. Can you see that? The jig's moving down there. So if this is standing still, what's that jig doing? Kind of looks like it's just a dead piece of bait. Hey, you don't want a dead piece of bait. You don't like dead food. It's got to be prepared just right. Jigs are trout are the same way. They like things that are done nicely. You know, they're picky just like me and you. When you guys go to McDonald's and Burger King and they give you a burger and it's not half meat on half the bun and tomato on the other half, terrible, isn't it? You get all pissed off. You got to undo it and do it yourself. Trout are the same way. They're finicky. When you get these jigs, sometimes they come a little beat up. And a lot of guys will sit there and throw them right off the bat. Well, they won't move properly like that. You want these jigs doing little M's in the air. Just kind of little M's. That's all you want them doing. Nice and slow. I'll give a little demonstration how you like to see it. I'll use the white one so you can see it. Just nice and slow. I like to call them M's. M's in the water. Just make it dance. And take a little extra time to fix these. Sometimes, like I said, the hook is not proper. We got some fringes that are a little messed up. And it just looks terrible. The trout aren't going to eat it. And why should they? It should look nice. You should present to them like you're feeding. Just like you when you eat. I can't stress that enough. Okay, guys? All right. Here's what I've been waiting to tell you guys. I'm sure you're waiting. Is Diamond Valley Reservoir. How many of you heard about it? Beautiful lake. And it's awesome. Anybody fished it yet? How'd you do? 3 trout, pretty nice, huh? Oh, okay, so you got some of them stalkers that go put in. I'll tell you what, if you guys get a chance, like I said, I'm a licensed guide at Diamond Valley Lake. I'm running a 20-foot pontoon by G3. We come out there and we have a blast. Family fun, lots of trout, bluegill, crappie, catfish. Get a chance to take a look at my recent pictures that I just got out, okay? Got some cards there and everything. Okay, here we are, Diamond Valley Lake. Basically the same technique, guys, but there's a secret here. There's a secret. These trout are eating shad like it's going out of style. They're eating shiners like it's going out of style. They're eating fin shad that are going out of style. These guys have the ultimate food source down there. They got the Black Angus restaurant. They got the Claremans restaurant down there, all top of the line steak. So when you go down and present something like a power bait or any kind of cheese bait, they don't want nothing to do with that stuff. That's one thing. These fish are spoiled. So you got to fool them. And that's where, I don't know if you can see these colors. These are some very dark colors right here on the bottom. Those are the shad. That's exactly what they're looking like. So we simulated the hatch out there. We dropped them down, and we knot them. We did pretty good. But here's the key. These fish are anywhere from 40 to 100 feet right now. Wow, 40, 100 feet. I ain't going to fish for trout 40 for 100 feet. It's not that far. It really is not that far. 40 feet, you might think about it. Gentlemen back there, raise your hand. Look at that. What do you think? 40 feet? Give or take a few feet, guys? That's not very far. It's just we're Southern Californians. We're not used to fishing in 40, 60, 80 feet a while. That's Minnesota. That's back east stuff. Lake Tahoe. But Diamond Valley Reservoir, 240 feet deep. 300,000 trout got put in back in 1997 as subcatchables, 6 to 12 inches. That lake did not get touched until 2003 when humans came. And man, they still didn't come up on those trout. 50,000 bass. 3 million bluegill. These are fish that you're paying for with your money. The Department of Fish and Game license, all that stuff when you go pay at your county parks, all that's going into that lake. It's the creme of the creme, built by fishermen for fishermen, guys. I can't stress this lake enough. This is the creme of freshwater fishing in Southern California. And it's in your backyard. It's in your backyard. Okay, I was talking about the key at Diamond. Like I was saying, we're using these little 32nd ounce jigs to run around the shoreline, Sierras, Big Bear, stuff like that. You always want to stay moving, always keep casting, always switching colors. 2-pound test, loosen that drag, let them fight, give them a chance. Give them a chance. They want to run. They want to act like Carl Lewis and do little streaks. I mean, oh, it's exciting. Wrist burn a little bit, shake a little, adrenaline surge. It's exciting. It really is. But if you want to use 4 or 6-pound tests, just remember, you're bumping up your line. So you can put them, you can hammer them. Put the hammer down, as they would say, a little harder on these fish. All right, here's the time to let the secret out. Can you guys see this lead right here? All these leads? This is what we use religiously. This is a 1/32 ounce. This is what I have in my hand right here. This will get down about 12 feet, 15 feet at the most at Diamond because we got underwater current there. So I started reading fish at 40, 60, 80 feet. How am I going to get down there? Well, basically what I did is I bumped the lead up. I went to a 1/16, which is right there. Now that's getting me down 40, 50, 60 feet before the current starts to act a little bit down there. As soon as we got down there and we presented these jigs, these trout went absolutely ballistic. Well, like I said, the last couple of weeks they've been a little bit deeper, actually anywhere from about 80 to 120 feet. So what we did is we went to a heavier lead. You see that? 1/4 ounce. Whoa, that's heavy for 2 pound, but it works. You send it down to the bottom, and you just wait, and you count, and you go, come on, you can get there, you can get there. You know, you're waiting, you're tapping your toes. But I tell you what, the reward, the payoff is tremendous down there. It's about, like I said, 240 feet, but we're seeing these trout right now in about 140 feet. Get it down there and just start jigging it. Start bringing it up. They've never seen anything like that before. This is all new to them. These trout, like I said, all they eat is shad, shiners, and thin fat. All of a sudden now we're presenting something a little bit different. Jigs, plastic artificial jigs, 1/32 ounce, 1/16 ounce, and as heavy as 1/4 ounce. That's my secret. That's how I'm doing it for my customers. These fish are taking anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to bring in, and they're taking you around the boat. I mean, I call it the trout dance, because we literally had a fish last week, 7 pounds, 2 ounce, 2-pound test, and it took 16 minutes to come in. And this was a guy who was a very good saltwater fisherman and was giving me a hard time when he went on the boat. I'll never put a freshwater rod in my hand. 2-pound test, those are for guppies. He caught that first fish. He was hooked. He was shaking. He was, oh, I love this. This is the greatest thing ever. is just scale down the tackle. Is all we did. We scaled down our tackle. This is all you need anywhere in California. You don't need to be putting on that 4, 6, 8 pound test for these trout. Be that 4, 6, 8 for these smaller bass. 2 pound test. Learn how to use it. It's a lot of fun. It can beat you up a little bit. It can teach you a lesson and frustrate you. But if you practice, 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 if your friend's got a pool, go to his house. Start casting. Start practicing. These jigs are tough to use. They don't always move right. They don't always work right. Line gets real light. It's 2 pound test. The wind's blowing. It goes off to the side. You get a bad cast. One of my favorite things to do, if I got a bad cast and there's a lot of slack in the line, whatever you do, don't reel up that slack. All you're going to do is create a bird nest further down the line, 3, 4 casts later. This 2 pound needs to stay on with a little bit of pressure. So if I got a lot of slack out there, like I just saw right now what's going on, what I'll do is just hold my hand a little higher. Can you see that? I like to interlock, but what I'll do is I'll get my hand a little higher, and I'll just kind of use my forefinger and my thumb, put a little pressure on it. See that? Now I got a tight line. And this is like if you got a bad cast or something. Boom. See how I picked that? Just straight to there. And you say you didn't like that cast. It didn't work for you. Okay? Didn't work for you. There you go. Here's your forefinger. Put him right on. Always keep a tight line. Even when you're fighting these fish and they're bending that pole, keep a tight line. That's the key with this 2 pound test and these jigs. And if you lose them, chalk it up. It's a learning experience. There's going to be a little learning curve with these fish. I've lost many of fishes when I was a young man doing this. I've been doing this for over 20 years with these jigs. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's just, I enjoy it. I mean, I go home and play with these jigs all the time. Oh man, what can I use this? How can I use this one tomorrow? The more you're into it, the more you're going to catch fish. You've got to get into it, guys. Start on Thursday. If you're going Saturday, start Thursday. Get some new line on there. You know, go buy some tackle. Go play, go tie some knots real quick. Practice, practice, practice. Like I said, we practice football, baseball, basketball, soccer, everything else. But we don't practice fishing. The only time we go is when we go out. And we expect everything to work perfect that day. Fishing is one of the hardest things to do. We're athletes, guys. You got to be an athlete. You got to go hand, eye coordination. Everything's got to be there. Everything's got to be there. And what I like about the jigs too is you can walk around these lakes all day long and get great exercise. Great exercise. Just keep walking, keep going, find the holes. Once you find a spot, see how many you get. 3, 4, 5, 6. Get a little run. Feel good. Let them all go. Pat yourself on the back. People know who's catching fish on the lake. People know whose rod and reel's bending. Trust me. And when you start scaling down your tackle, your fish percentage is going to increase. I guarantee it, especially for trout fishing. And don't get frustrated because these jigs aren't hard. I mean, they're not easy to catch. They're not also, you got to have a little patience with them. A lot of finesse. Okay? I'm going to share one more secret from Diamond Valley Lake, and that's lead core. Everybody familiar with lead core fishing? That's pretty good out there. It's working well. You got like 10 colors on your rods. I don't have one today, but lead core is a lead line that is coated so it sinks through the water. And it has 10 colors throughout a spool of line. Each color will go anywhere from 5 to 7 feet down, depending on your speed of your boat when you're trolling. You find out on your fish finder it's showing you fish at 40 feet, you let out about 9 colors, 8 colors. It takes a little game. You're going to have to play with it a little bit. That, of course, seems to be the ticket. Also, controlled depth fishing. Everybody know what that is? Downriggers. You guys got some downriggers on your boat? Man, precise. That ball can be right at 20 feet. Just stay solid at 20. That lure's right behind it, and it's staying right at 20. These fish are suspended at 20, and they're just right on it. It's a little extra money for these downriggers, but the payoff is awesome. But if you want to use lead core, that's also another alternative. But my favorite way to do it, right here, guys. 2 pound test, 7-foot rods. Daiwa 700s, G Loomis, or Phoenix rods. 2 of the better rods for trout fishing right now with that very spongy tip. So, Diamond Valley Lake, guys, if you get a chance, I highly recommend it. Rent a boat, hire a guide, and go out there. This is a big lake. It's 28 miles all the way around. A lot of guys go out there, they get in the boat, and they go, where do I start? Where do I start? Man, I should have called someone who fished it. But I like to call it the show. We all familiar with athletic terms like AAA, AA ball, stuff like that? Well, Diamond Valley's the show. It's the major leagues, guys. So if you go out there and you get your butt kicked the first time, hey, you just went to the major leagues and you got spanked. But it's okay. It's called a learning. It's a learning curve. If you want to better your fishing, get in bigger lakes. Get away from these little smaller ponds and stuff like that. Sure, they're fun to go out there and catch a few trout, hone your skills with the jig, practice, go out there on Saturday, throw 300-400 times. It's great. Put your kids on them. They love casting. How many kids do you know? They cast, as soon as you cast it forward and give it to them, what's the first thing they do? They bring it in. Put on a bobber and jig. Throw them out there. You'll be impressed at how much they fall in love with it. Next thing you know it, you got your son on artificials. And who knows what's after that. Okay, guys, my name is Mark Franco. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it. Catch the trout. Oh, by the way, guys, got some free stuff here. Don't know how long it's going to last. Here you go, sweetheart. See if we can get some here, everybody. Everybody kind of grab one. Here you go, Dad. Share those with your buddies right there, guys. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
Cards.
I got some cards there, guys, on the jigs. Anything you need, the guide service. You're welcome. There you go.
How much of an advance do I need to give you a call?
Just give me a call right now. I'm booked a few Saturdays in her, but otherwise.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm Ron Cervenka, and you're watching Western Bass TV.